Hey guys, welcome back to Unfiltered and Functional. I'm your host, Mandy, and here with the beautiful bestie, Sashi baby.
Hello.
Guys, today we're going to be talking about something that literally every single one of us does. You can't avoid it. It's inevitable, even if you're not good at it. If you're not, some of us aren't good at it. We could be better at it, and that's what we're trying to help support you guys if you're not good at it. And that's sleeping. This is a common issue that I hear very often. Women coming to me saying, my hormones are a mess. I can't lose any weight. I'm constantly hungry. I'm extremely moody. And my significant other or anyone around me is at high risk for me kind of lashing out during certain times of the month. And ultimately, people end up thinking it's a hormone issue. But after asking a couple more questions, digging a little bit deeper, we find out that sleep is less than stellar. So if you are one of those individuals that has any of the pre-mentioned symptoms or issues and you're only sleeping for 5, 6 hours, this is an episode you guys are going to want to listen to all the way. We're going to kind of cover some interesting topics. It's been called revenge bedtime procrastination. I don't know if you've heard about that, Sasha, or if you've had clients that do that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And I think that's like newly coming out, but so many of us now, I've even done it myself. I've done it myself, and I think a lot of it has to do with technology, but that part is just my personal opinion, not the science part. And we're also going to talk about for some of our type A individuals that I'll sleep when I'm done mindset, or I'll do
Or
it.
the I'll sleep when I'm dead
Oh my,
mindset. Yeah, I've
I,
been there, done that, but it's just not the right way to go about it.
no, not at all. But yes, sleep when you're dead. Oh my God. No, you're dead when you're dead. You're going to be doing dead stuff when you're dead. You're not sleeping. So when you're sleeping, you think you're just kind of laying there and you got some Z's going on. Maybe you're dreaming, maybe you're not, maybe you're comfortable, maybe you're too hot, maybe you're too cold, but you're laying there, right? So sleep kind of seems like it's passive. Not really much to do. Lay down, close your eyes, that's it.
I
Not,
like doing that. I like doing that.
I think we all like doing it, but it's like not everyone can do it
Mm.
as easy. Are you a good sleeper?
Um, that's a good question. I am when I prepare for it or when I set up for it. Like I could pretty much sleep anywhere. I could sleep on a plane, I could fall asleep while we're watching a movie, I could sleep, but like to get like good quality sleep, like I could pretty much sleep anywhere, but I could also keep myself up and awake. You know how like I don't know if you could relate to this, but I have clients who are like, I can't sleep, my mind is racing. So like
Mm,
I can have that mind racing and keep myself awake, or I can have that mind racing and like force myself to sleep. But I used to not be a good sleeper. I would go to sleep at like 2 in the morning. Like it was not great.
yeah. And so that's an interesting thing that you mentioned going to sleep at 2 in the morning, because I also used to have a very different bedtime when I was younger. And I think that's pretty common for a lot of us, and why it's a stereotype that teenagers or college students are like sleeping until like 10, 11 noon. Um,
And go to sleep so late.
yeah. And which is actually something I recently learned. Our chronotype changes as we age. And a chronotype is basically like, are you an early morning riser and then you go to sleep early? Do you rise late? Like, are you a morning bird or are you a night owl? That's basically like what your chronotype is. I think there's like 4 or 5 different types.
And could
But
we, I'm sorry, but could we break the rumor that, oh, I'm just not a morning person? Like you could become one.
yeah,
Just
that
because you're
one,
not a morning person doesn't mean you can't be a morning person.
yeah,
'Cause that
that
rumor just drives me nuts.
I think that one is more of like a mindset
It is.
shift,
It is.
and it
And
gets
a
used
lifestyle shift.
for sure. And it gets, I think, used too much as an excuse.
Way too much.
Yeah. But as far as like chronotypes goes, those are scientifically backed and they do change throughout your life. So maybe when you were like 16, you were not a morning person. But if you're 32 now and you have a job and you have a life and a family and all the other things, and you're still trying to say, I'm not a morning person, but you're exhausted throughout the entire day. So really, you're just not a day person.
Really, you're just not a functioning person.
Exactly. And that is why sleep is so important. But to kind of reel it back around, sleep isn't just lay down horizontally, close your eyes, and that's that. It's not a passive function that people think that it is. Sleep is where our bodies actually actively are repairing. We're not shutting down. We're not like powering down like a little robot going to bed. No, our brains are consolidating the memories or everything that we learned during the day. A little bit more important for kids growing, developing, teenagers, but still important for adults. We learn stuff every day. Sleep is needed for cellular repair and detoxing. So, if there are any athletes out there or anybody that's just active and they like to work out, arguably, probably most of the people listening, you need sleep in order to cellularly repair the work that you've done in the gym, especially if you're trying to grow, which we know all about.
Yeah.
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 If you want that dump trunk, you got to sleep.
Seriously, seriously, because otherwise you're taking so much potential away from yourself. And I did this for such a long period of time where I was like, sleep was really so much on the back end for me. And even if you don't want to think about like the science of like how your body's repairing and the cells are repairing and detox and all of that kind of, if you don't want to think about that, think about the fact that when you're tired, you don't have the energy to push weight. You don't have as, you're not as strong. Like you're pretty much trying to drive a car that's running on low, if not empty. And one thing I gotta say, as someone who drives a lot, I notice the difference of how my car functions when my tank is more full rather than when I'm getting that alert where it's like, you have 40 miles, you have 28 miles, you have 14 miles. I'm like, all right, I gotta get to the gas station. Like, it's only so much that you can drive. And it just drives differently. And like, I feel like the same goes to our bodies. It's even if you don't want to take the science into consideration because you just, I don't know, you don't want to believe in that, even though everything that Mandy said is 100% true and backed by science. But like, just even thinking about the fact that you're not performing as well as you could be because you are tired. Like your body is tired.
No, that's a really good point. For me personally, sidebar on this driving without gas, that's a mental mind fuck for me. When I see like I'm driving more like tense because I'm like, oh, I know that I don't have what I need. And
Yeah,
as when you're tired and you're not sleeping well and you're going through life, I also will be like, fuck, I'm tired. I don't have what I need. I don't have the energy. I don't have the
more
sleep.
irritated, everything.
Oh, I'm awful.
I suck.
I suck.
It's funny. I saw tangent offside tangent. I saw this funny meme the other day where it was if I didn't eat or if I'm hungry, I didn't eat or I didn't get enough sleep, and it's that clip from The Office where they're like throwing the chairs and things are flying and ripping papers off the walls, and I send that to AJ because every time he's like, "What's the matter?" and I'm like, it's always I'm tired, I'm hungry or I'm sore. I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm sore. That's usually what's the matter.
The big relate though, for real though. And that, but that also just goes to proof sleep is necessary. I mean, and so
Exactly.
is eating food.
Yes,
And so
yes,
is recovery if you're
yes.
sore.
Which my
Um,
recovery would be better if I was to also sleep longer.
just go to sleep.
Go the fuck to sleep.
When in doubt, get your ass in bed.
Exactly.
Truly though. But kind of going back to the common symptoms where women tend to unfortunately blame their hormones, that's also going on while you're sleeping. Your hormones are recovering and they're regulating. We know it is proven that if you have sleep deprivation, your cortisol is going to go up. That's going to cause your insulin sensitivity to go down. And they have studied and they know that one night of poor sleep reduces that insulin sensitivity by 20 to 30%.
which is actually nuts if you think about
Yeah,
it.
that
Like, can
is,
you imagine a week of bad sleep, a month of bad sleep?
yeah. I'm like, that is not a small number. Like, it's insane. The reason this happens is because deep sleep is where the majority of our hormone regulation is taking place. So if you're getting really, really poor sleep and you can't get into that like deep sleep cycle, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And this is where, Sash, you just said, imagine a week without sleeping well, imagine a month without sleeping well. This is where we start seeing that weight gain. And you're like, oh, but I'm eating less. What is going on? Or I'm working out more. And now I'm even more exhausted. This is what's going on. So, while yes, hormones are involved with it, it really comes down to sleep. That's literally what it is. They've also done sleep studies where they've restricted sleep, but then they keep people on the same calories. Some people get to sleep, eat the same calories. Other people, they're restricting their sleep. They're eating the same calories as the other group that's sleeping. And with the restricted calories, not sleeping as well, they did not lose as much body fat, but they did lose more muscle from not sleeping.
That's big.
Yeah, if you guys didn't already need another reason to sleep well, there you go. If you're trying to make a body change, any kind of like recomposition, weight loss, muscle gain, you need to sleep. It is essential to see that change. Taking it back to the hormones, because like I could talk about hormones forever, but I'm just gonna like say this a little bit and then we're gonna move on to some of the other things that I think are really relevant too. But since I see so many women with sleep issues, again, it does have impact on hormones. The biggest one is probably progesterone. We've kind of talked about it before, and I definitely want to redo that progesterone episode because my computer ate it. Literally.
That was something.
It-
Technology.
Dude, I was so mad. We did a whole awesome episode on like the progesterone shortage in modern women, and my computer didn't record the visual. I was,
We have the audio though, so I mean we could post it up on Spotify or even on YouTube just with a cover photo, but then you won't get to see us talking.
yeah, I don't know. It was just so good. So I kind of want to revamp that. But
Fair.
I regress. In that episode, here's the cliff notes, and then we'll end up redoing it. But we need progesterone. It is a calming hormone and it supports sleep. And unfortunately, in modern women, when we're out there doing our boss babe hustle culture, we're exhausted, we're tired, we're inflamed, we are constantly overwhelmed, we're running on empty. What that does is it depletes our progesterone because most of our resources then get distributed to cortisol to keep us like running, like go, 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 fight or flight. We need that like adrenaline energy just to
Yeah.
function. And in a normal person, we don't rely on that.
No.
We don't rely on that. That is a really, really common, unfortunately, deficiency in the modern woman is low progesterone. And again, super needed for sleep. I've also seen women that get on supportive progesterone therapy and all of a sudden they're sleeping a lot better. P.S. This is not medical advice. This podcast is for educational purposes only and just sharing personal insight and instances from myself, Sasha, and other people that we've spoken to as well. So we're not telling you to get on progesterone therapy. It's a very specific individual that qualifies for it. But I do think for most women in their 30s and 40s, if you are having issues with sleep, your doctor should be running these sex hormones to see where your progesterone is. This could be a much easier fix than you think for sleep. Sleep is usually the root cause. Progesterone can kind of trail out of that too. But if you can get the appropriate support to optimize your body, why not? If it aligns with your health values. We also see some sleep issues in our luteal phases just due to a slight increase in our basal body temperatures during that time. You guys have all heard it. If you're too hot, you can't sleep. You wake up more, you wake up like in a sweat, you're uncomfortable, now your sheets are wet, it's gross. This was me 2 days ago, not thrilled. But our weather is also like 70 to 30, so
That's confusing.
Yeah, my body doesn't know what the heck is going on. End of story. If your sleep is off, your hormones are going to be off. If you have one bad night of sleep here or there, whatever, you're human. But if this is a continuous thing, you got to nip it in the bud. Okay. Sasha, I do want to ask your personal experience because I think some people can definitely relate. Your fiance works the opposite shift that you do. Do either of you have sleep disturbances, or like how do you find a way to optimize your sleep hygiene and like still function and have a relationship?
I mean, because I'm typically sleeping and like or winding down my day when he's going to work, the most sleep disturbance, I guess, would be if there's anything up with Remy, which has happened a couple of times where like having to wake up in the middle of the night and feed him and oh my God, not feed him, take him out because he had like tummy problems or whatever. But the way that we kind of go about that is like if he's home from work, but he still kind of is on that same schedule, just he wears headphones while he's watching TV or being a little bit quieter in the kitchen. Like last night, for example, uh, Thursdays, Fridays are typically the days that he's off that we're hanging out, we're spending a little bit more time together. But I was feeling so tired that at 9:45, I was like, all right, I'm sorry. Like, I'll try to stay up a little bit later tomorrow, but I have to go to sleep because I have clients in the morning. I have fasted cardio to do. I have things to do. And I know myself, if I get sub 7 hours, like even if it's 6 hours, 58 minutes, like I'm not good. Like even seven
Mhm.
hours is a little bit on the lower end for me. I try to shoot for 7.5 to 8, but I really structure as much as I can around making sure that I get all my meals in and that I'm well rested. I get my training sessions in, my clients are taken care of. Like everything else fits in, and we make sure to make the best out of it. So like when he sleeps, for example, during the day, that's when I'm getting like the most amount of work done. I'm training all my clients, I'm taking all my calls, I'm doing all my stuff. So then we do have that window of spending time together, of making sure that we're showing up for each other. But then when it comes to sleeping and resting, like for example, today I don't have clients tomorrow until 9 in the morning. So if I sleep in a little bit tomorrow and don't wake up at 5:30, but I wake up at 7, I could go to sleep at 10:30, 11 today instead of going to sleep at 9. So like having that little wiggle room, but also, I think the biggest thing that helps is that planning ahead of knowing, okay, when can I have a little bit of wiggle room? When can I move around my schedule to make sure that it's not just like, oh, my sleep matters the most and I'm not making any sacrifices to spend any time in my relationship and hang out, because that wouldn't work either. So like here and there, sometimes there are small sacrifices to be made, but I try to not let the sacrifices be like my rest, my
Mhm.
recovery, my work, my food. It would more so be, okay, I'm not reading my book tonight before I go to sleep because we're gonna watch TV, hang out, and then I'll wind down and then go to bed. So like that's, I guess, in the best way how I could explain.
Yeah. You guys actually, I think, have a like a one up on other couples and a benefit because I've heard a lot that it can actually be beneficial to sleep away from your significant other.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, it's not popular, of course, because we all want to like, we all want to be in love and we want to cuddle our person as we're
Cuddle. Yeah,
like
yeah,
going to
yeah.
sleep. But I have heard a lot about the benefits of sleeping separately or having separate rooms and people still having like really great marriages just because, and I don't mean to call any guys out, but it just typically happens with guys more. You guys have like sleep apnea and you're snoring, and then the woman can't really sleep well, or women have can have sleep apnea too. I don't want to just single out the guys here, but the stereotype is usually a dude snoring,
Mm.
and that will affect your partner. So you guys, I'm trying to find a silver lining here for you that you guys aren't always together sleeping.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it does also work because I even have a client where her significant other is also works in like a similar workforce that my fiance does, and his night shift is different where he's not like the full night shift, but he comes home at like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Mhm.
And in that case, it's like when that even happens with us, like he's had those kinds of shifts before. sometimes it'll wake me up, and like there's been times where if I like wake up, like actually wake up, I might have a little bit of a harder time falling back asleep, or my sleep is kind of broken because now I have like half an hour where I'm awake and then trying to fall back asleep, and then he's doing stuff in the kitchen and I can't fall back asleep. But for the most part, we I feel like also just found like a good groove of I know when like right now, for example, he's sleeping. I wouldn't be taking this call downstairs. I wouldn't be doing this downstairs while he's sleeping because I don't want to interrupt his sleep either. And then if he's taking a nap at some point in the middle of the day, like I'll take that as an opportunity to put on my headphones, listen to my audiobook. So really just trying to make it work where we can. But yeah, long story short, that pretty much sums up how we make that work. And I feel like it's possible to make it work in every and any scenario. It's just a matter of having those conversations of like, hey, this is something that is important to me. Like, I need to make sure that I'm ahead of this. I feel better when I'm well rested, whatever the case may be. But that's a rundown of that.
I think you said really something important was your planning.
Yeah.
You're planning it and being really intentional about it. Like if you're going to stay up later with him one night, which anyone listening, regardless if your significant other works an opposing shift or the same shift, we've all had it where one person wants to stay up later than the other person. And the other, you might get like FOMO. You're like, well, but I do want to spend time with you, but I'm also like so dead ass tired. And then that's where the compromise comes in. And I really appreciate, Sash, that you have that boundary with yourself where you understand, like, I'm still going to prioritize my rest, but where in the week can I make this work like a little bit
Yeah.
better?
Yeah, like it's typically those Friday nights or like even sometimes on Saturday nights because like I said, rather than having my first session at 7 a.m. with clients, meaning I typically need to be up an hour and a half to 2 hours before that to get my fasted cardio done, my things done, get myself awake, get myself up. It starts a little bit later in the day. And typically like on Saturdays, I won't even take clients up until recently, so that if I want to wake up at 7:30 to take Remy out, feed him, and then lay back down on the couch, read my book, and have like a really slow start to the day and just like chill out and relax. Like I can do that.
Yeah.
But throughout the week, when my wake up time's like 5:15, 5:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
that's kind of like where I'm like, sorry, babe,
Mm.
I gotta go to sleep.
Yeah. But again, you're still planning it out. And
Yeah. Oh,
that's
big time.
that's like what I kind of want to segue into because I going off of like the revenge bedtime procrastination, like
Mm,
having so much fill up your day. Like sometimes it can be wanting to stay up with a significant other. Maybe you're not currently with someone and you're single, but you had such a hellacious day at work doing a bunch of things. You know you're tired, you know you want to go to sleep, but then you end up staying up later because it's like that revenge procrastination. You're like, I don't have any time to myself. I'm
yeah.
going to stay up later. And then you find yourself doing this.
Yeah, doom scrolling,
Scrolling.
watching TV, hanging out with your cat, doing whatever, like when
Hmm.
in reality could be sleeping.
Yeah. And
And I get the whole wanting to have some time for yourself, but if your schedule is just so jam-packed during the week, let yourself have that time with yourself and for yourself on the weekends when you're not as busy. And let that be like your rot on the couch, watch Netflix after you get your steps in, have your in between your meals, whatever the case is. But for that to be a daily occurrence just because you need to reward yourself after a long day of work to now have 2 hours of time for yourself,
Mhm.
even with that, you could fit it in. Like maybe if you weren't doom scrolling while you were eating and put the freaking phone down and actually focused on your meal wouldn't take you 45 minutes to eat, but it would take you 10 minutes to eat. And then you can have that half an hour for yourself.
Yeah. Or if you meal prep and you don't have to think about cooking either. But again, what it all goes back to planning,
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 planning, having that
uh,
structure, creating it for yourself.
creating it. Yeah, exactly. And that's like the most common thing I've heard people talk about now is like, I had such a full day. Now I want time to myself. And then I stay up, even though I'm tired. Some ways that you can fix it. And I don't think it's a 0 to 100 type thing. It's just adding some, very simple habit swaps, making sure your home is darker. later at night. Like when you get home, you don't need bright fluorescent giant white lights everywhere. If you can have,
Overhead lights. Yeah, I
yeah.
don't like overhead lights at all.
Mm-mm. No, we hate them. We hate them here. No, just small accent lights, keeping it darker, getting your body primed for that sleep. In the morning when you wake up, assuming you're not a shift worker, getting sunlight first thing on waking, eating enough. That's a big one too, because I've also heard women be like, I don't want to eat before bed, which on one hand, good. You really shouldn't eat 2 hours before you go to sleep if you can help it. But there is an instance where some individuals can actually benefit from having a very small meal that does have carbs in it before they go to sleep,
Mm,
and especially those with insulin resistance. So it seems kind of like counterproductive or counterintuitive. And it's like, well, if I have issues with my blood sugar and my insulin, why would I be eating right before I go to bed? But these individuals, what we're kind of realizing is like, if you're waking up starving, dizzy, nauseous, you need that small carb meal. And in that case, I say, okay, like 2 hours before bed, an hour and a half before bed, try and get that in. Make sure it's super easy to digest so we're not impacting sleep too much. And again, that's a case by case basis, not medical advice, just an example.
yeah.
But the big one I want to hit before we close out here is melatonin. Melatonin, because I have I've wavered in my feelings about melatonin over the years. I've been on both extremes where I've loved it. Then I'm like, oh my God, it's horrible. Why are we using this? To now I'm kind of more of a neutral, it depends on context, contextually.
Hmm.
How do you feel about melatonin?
I mean, I'm I feel like it should be like a last resort and used sparingly and like occasionally. I don't think that it's a supplement that people should be relying on every single day to be taking on a daily basis to like help them sleep and function normally. I think there are way better supplements, like for example, magnesium and potassium that could be taken before bed that will help you go to bed, relax, tone it down a notch, take the phone out. It's like you take melatonin, but then you're scrolling on your phone, but that like you haven't tried to naturally wind your body down and now like you're almost forcing a wind down on your body. And like I'm not against it. I've taken melatonin before. If it's super needed, if and a client needs to take it, by all means, do your thing. But I also feel like it is not like it takes away from your body to be able to do what it naturally does because of how many additional things have been now added, like the screens, the phones, the um eating certain foods before bed or being super full before bed or not having like a wind down routine or trying to go from this while you're laying in bed to this and be like in a deep sleep. So
Mm,
I feel like it could be used and could be beneficial, but it shouldn't be the first go-to supplement, in my
yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think what a lot of people fail to realize is that melatonin is actually a hormone that we naturally create in our body. And on top of that, the US is one of the only countries that lets you buy melatonin over the counter. Every other
Wow.
country you go to, you need a doctor's prescription in order to take melatonin, which is
Wow. Interesting.
create
I didn't know that.
yeah. And there's been some like independent testing of different melatonin supplements. And what they've found is that, especially like some of the gummies for kids and adults, but like here, the thing that gets me, kids, there are certain, again, not medical advice, just education. There are certain children populations, teen populations that theoretically could benefit from melatonin if they have been diagnosed with autism or ADHD or some combination of both. They have found that it can help them regulate their circadian rhythms a little bit better. That
Mm,
should obviously be done under a healthcare provider supervision. So that is like a little side note I will put there. But in general, for the majority of the population, they did a study testing some of these melatonin supplements. And what they found particularly in these gummies is that there were up to 10 times the amount of regular dose melatonin that you would need. So if it said it was like 5 milligrams, 10 times the amount, 50
Why?
milligrams. Oh, right. Well, it's not FDA regulated. Not that the
Mm,
FDA does anything, but over the counter melatonin is technically considered a supplement. So it's not regulated. So most of these companies aren't getting their products tested regularly. So you don't really know what you're taking or if you can trust the dosage amount, which is it's a little scary. And it's not just with melatonin, that's with any supplement, which is why we always kind of say do your due diligence when you're checking out supplement brands. But in this case in particular, with melatonin, if you need to take it, you should be looking for like 1 milligram, maybe two. You don't
mm.
start with five, and you sure as hell don't start or go up to 10. It's That's way overkill, and that's going to leave you groggy the next day. It's going to potentially give you vivid dreams. So if you're someone prone to night terrors, I really don't recommend melatonin. And the few cases where melatonin can actually be beneficial for someone is if you're somebody that travels either for work or if you're doing a vacation and you're traveling to different time zones, combating jet lag. Melatonin can help with that and help you get back on a regular schedule, but that's not something you like continue to take for the rest of, the week or the month.
Yeah, like I said, it's to be used intentionally when
Mhm.
needed because of whatever
Right.
life events.
Yeah. Another one though, shift work. So like if AJ were to like switch over to like the day shift, he could use melatonin to help him with that switch. But again,
Yeah.
not taking it the rest of his life. And then older adults can sometimes benefit from melatonin. As we age, we just tend to produce less of it. So if there are older adults that start having sleep problems, but all the other boxes are checked, they're doing everything right, they're not eating before bed, they have a healthy diet, healthy lifestyle, this could be something, again, in tandem with working with the healthcare provider that they might benefit from. And it's not going to be that 5 milligram, 10 milligram dose.
Yeah,
It's just not. So that's kind of that's my jazz on melatonin.
I hear you. I'm with you.
And that could be like if you're an older adult and you need that and you would prefer something like that that's a little bit more quote unquote natural than like hopping on an Ambien and risking that you're gonna like cook an entire Thanksgiving meal in your sleep. I don't know if you've heard some of those crazy Ambien stories.
No,
Oh my God. Yeah. People will take an Ambien and it like they'll go and sleepwalk and they'll do things in their sleep, have zero memory of it. Like
that's scary.
fully doing stuff, having conversations, driving a car, not, yeah, not realizing that
You
they were,
lost me.
yeah. So I don't think I could ever be brave enough to do that. But if you guys are trying to optimize your sleep, just some non-negotiable upgrades, morning sunlight, help you wake up, consistent sleep and wake time. So don't be changing it from 9 p.m. one night to 2 a.m. the next night to 7 p.m. the next night. Consistent sleep and wake times. Sash called it out on the screening. Limit your blue light exposure at night. So if you're going to look at a screen, get yourself some blue light blockers, but you should really be working yourself to cutting it off an hour before bed.
Yeah.
But if you don't, get the blockers, eating enough, especially if you're training really, really hard, and having a wind down routine in place so that you can relax your body to receive sleep that's going to nourish you and not make you a bitch the next day, like when I don't get sleep.
Yeah. It'd be like that.
It do be like that. And while I do say, take it with a grain of salt if you're wearing a wearable like an Oura Ring or a Whoop to track your sleep, it can be really, really good data.
Yeah, I love
Um,
it. I love the data. And I feel like that more than anything has helped me see what affects my sleep, how, when, and where, especially if we have anyone in here that's listening that has a drink on the occasion, the Oura Ring, immediately.
Called out. Yeah. And something I noticed in the app too, they have like a tag where if you add like, oh, I drank alcohol the night before, I don't know if you've seen it where it'll like pop up on the screen and it says like X amount percentage of people report poor
Yeah, bad
sleep.
sleep
Yeah.
after this. Yeah.
That's kind of what we have in a nutshell for you guys on sleep today. Sash, are there any other little nuggets you want to throw in there?
No, I feel like you really hit it on the head about the importance of it. I truly am one of those people who, for the longest time, did not see the value of like sleeping. And it was one of those things that if anything went first, it would be my sleep and my rest and my recovery. But as the years progressed and as I've matured and my frontal lobe has been developing, I truly cannot express the difference in your lifestyle that it makes, the difference in your everything, your physique, how your mind works, how your brain works, how all of a sudden you don't actually have brain fog. You're just sleeping really bad. You're not actually weak. You're just sleeping really bad. You actually don't weigh 5 pounds more than you think you weigh, but your body is just not recovering as well as it should be. So you're holding on to a lot of water retention and you're just sleeping bad. So I've seen the changes in myself. I've been collecting this data on myself for coming up on 2+ years specifically when it comes to sleep. And like I said, it was really with the Oura Ring that I started noticing changes and like when I have a meal, when I do this, when I have a drink, when I don't get enough sleep, how I'm feeling. And I do take it with a grain of salt, but it's also really cool to see, oh, snap, okay, there was a night where I got 7 hours and my sleep score was 85, and then there was a night where I got 7 hours and my sleep score was a 72. And what changed there? What was the difference? And then during the day, like, how do I feel? And I notice very different shifts in my energy. So, truly don't underestimate the power of sleep. And at the same time, if you need to sleep for 13 hours to feel well rested, there's a problem there. Like, we need to be within that healthy medium of, I would say, men from 7 to 8 hours, women 8 to 9, even. And if you're on your period, maybe a little bit more. But if you are sleeping way too much and you don't feel well rested, or you need to sleep way too much to feel well rested, that's not necessarily a good thing. And then if you think that, you sleep for 5 hours and you have all this energy and you're like, oh, I'm fine off of 5 hours. This is just a normal for me. It's not a normal for you just because your body has adapted to that. It's not in an optimal state. So really value your sleep the same way that you value drinking water, the same way that you value and pay attention to those things. And if you don't pay attention to those things, you should start to.
Yeah, if you don't pay attention, it will sneak up faster than you think it
And
will.
force you to.
Mm-hmm.
Force you to pay attention.
Absolutely. I am a firm believer that the majority of people's like health dysfunction would significantly improve. I'm not saying completely reverse because there are nuance there, but
Yeah.
significantly improve if they got their sleep shit together.
Yeah. Yeah, literally.
But Sash, thank you for joining me here today. Thank you for tuning in. And if you would be so kind, if you're seeing this on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and a like. If you're seeing this on Spotify, rate 5 stars. We're going to have our information in the show notes so you can connect with us on Instagram, where we have our link trees if you want to explore any other goodies or resources that we have available. And we always love connecting. So if you want to drop a comment, we are happy to reply. We will see you guys on the next one. They drop every Monday, and check out Sasha's Sculpt Sessions every Sunday.